Welcome to the Weekly Mag, the only Catalan show made entirely in English. And joining our party are actors Andrew Tarbet and Lascar, musicians Joana Serrat and Matthew McDaid, who will be singing for you on our stage. And of course, Mr. Stereotype, Marc Broderick. Dust off your English and get ready for fun, because the Weekly Mag is starting right now.
Hello again. The Weekly Mag is back today with new guests, plus tips for learning English, controversial issues, reports, and of course, good music. And the topic that links all our sections today is nature. And over the next 90 minutes, you're going to find out everything about it. As usual, we start with our favorite Irishman, Marc Broderick. Hello, Marc. How are you today?
Not too bad. Thanks for referring to me as your favorite Irishman. How many Irishmen do you know?
Well, quite a few,
okay.
And that's true.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Well, anyway, what is this that you brought here today?
I was away at the weekend in Ireland and I came back refreshed with lots of new ideas and stories. And I also, I bought you a little present along the way, okay? I bought you a potato.
2 potatoes.
Well, 2 potatoes. Well, I'm going to explain the difference.
This one is quite pitiful, I must say.
We better show the people at home, okay? We have 2 potatoes here, a pitiful potato and a regular potato.
Wait a second.
Yes.
You just came back from Ireland.
Yes.
And
yes.
This is what you brought me.
Yeah.
I just said you are my favorite Irishman.
Well, in Ireland,
you could have done better, no?
I could have done better, but you know, we grow great potatoes in Ireland. It's one of our main products that everybody looks for, no? So
I'm hungry. I just had lunch, actually. I'm not hungry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So let's see, why 2 potatoes?
Well, there's a story, right? My dad is a gardener. He loves planting potatoes. And every year he has a competition with his uncle, who's a 94-year-old man, by the way. And every year they have this competition to see who can grow the biggest and best potatoes, okay, over the season. And every single year my uncle wins, because he's always got them planted before. Now, my father's trick is, for the potato to be better, he has to sing to it, and he has to talk to the potatoes.
Sing to potatoes?
Yes. Because
interesting.
He sees them as like, you know, it helps them grow a little bit faster.
Right.
So if I show you the 2, this is one that my dad sang very, very well to, you know,
right.
It's beautiful, round, perfect potato. I guess he had a little bit of an off day when he was singing to this one, so there you go.
Well,
it's a good way to start the show.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting Irish habit, no?
An interesting Irish tradition, yes.
Yes. Okay, let's move on. Today we're talking about nature. And I know you've been away with Danny again.
I have indeed. We went into the wild, so to speak.
Right.
Yes, so if you want to have a look at the video, you'll see how wild we got.
Yes, sure.
Yep.
Let's have a look.
Okay.
I'm getting in real touch with nature today. I can feel the energy of the tree coming up through my legs. It's relaxing me. Okay, it's time to prepare my kit, because today we're going to go into the wild. What's the most beautiful natural place you've seen here in Catalonia?
I think Llobregat. I need time for thinking.
Parkwell.
I went yesterday to Montserrat. It's a very beautiful place.
Montserrat, but I would also think about the delta of the river Ebra.
We've been touring all the architecture, the Gaudi, and the city, but I like this the best so far.
Here.
Have you ever been attacked by a domestic or wild animal?
A duck, yeah, a duck. Do I say it right? Yeah, a duck.
What kind of dog was it?
A duck.
A duck! You were attacked by a duck!
Yeah.
Donald Duck, like...
Yeah.
Okay.
Little, yeah.
What happened? Do you remember it?
Now, I was walking with my grandmother and I saw the duck. So I ran to it, but it bit me in my finger. So, yeah.
Can I ask you, do you eat duck now?
Yeah.
A little bit of revenge, no?
Yeah. You have to walk around with a little spray on your hip, because if a bear comes out of the forest, psh,
Okay.
it's true.
During a trail, yeah, I saw a snake in front of me, and I just jump over the snake, and it was very scary.
I've killed a rattlesnake. In the back, I grabbed a shotgun, and
What age are you?
I'm 16.
But
So
this
you,
is 2 years ago.
so at 14 years of age, you grabbed a shotgun from your father and shot a 6-foot rattlesnake.
Blew the head off.
Wow, you're like, you know,
We sound so Texas right now.
oh, it's wonderful.
Are we
Talking about
living
this.
to our true stereotype?
You are absolutely living. Do you wear a hat as well, like a typical?
No.
No, okay, not that far. I have a map, I have a knife, bug spray, and an inhaler. Am I set to go to Texas or not?
No, not really.
What am I missing?
Well, your knife is too small.
But I couldn't kill a rattlesnake with this?
No. The rattlesnake would kill you.
I need a break. But I prefer wild things. Have you ever been attacked by an animal here in Catalonia?
Mosquitoes. Mosquitoes too.
Maybe my cat sometimes, but
We met a Texan who has a shotgun who can take care of that cat for you if you want.
yeah, no, it wasn't not that bad. No.
I love this nature in the city. Controlled, well-trimmed hedges, no bears, no mosquitoes and no rattlesnakes. For that, I'll just watch National Geographic on my big screen. Now that's wild.
Well, I see you really got connected to nature.
You like that,
Right.
huh? When I was hugging the trees, getting all the energy from the trees.
That was nice.
I have to
Where did you
dive
go?
into my part. We actually went to a place in the mountains just behind Barcelona. It's like a labyrinth. I'm not exactly sure the name, but yeah, it was pretty cool. It was controlled, just how I like it, you know?
So it looks really good, yeah, very green. I had the impression you were really in the middle of nature, but in fact you were near Barcelona or in Barcelona.
We were indeed, and we met some crazy people too. I don't know, did you hear
Where
that?
do you find these people? I mean, you always find really
It's wonderful.
original people.
Well, we found it's true. We always find these amazing people to talk to, and this
No, but
week
really,
we were
really
very
funny.
lucky. We were very
Really
lucky
funny.
because we had
People
this.
very nice.
They were very nice, and we had this mother and daughter from Texas who were fantastic. I mean,
It
the-
was quite shocking, no, what they said?
she was
I mean-
14 years of age. She saw a snake, went to her father's van, took the shotgun, shot the snake, and then she proceeded to show us pictures, which again, I don't agree with shooting animals, by the way. We're not here to talk about that. But she showed us a picture of her at 14 holding up this huge snake. What a relationship with nature.
It's like a film, no?
It is, and we talk about stereotypes on this section, no? And the Texans are known for like they're big into their guns, you know. We have this idea of like the cowboys, the John Waynes, and all that,
Yes.
and they absolutely they kill the stereotype. It was perfect. So
Right.
yeah.
What else did you find out about nature that surprised you when talking to these people?
Well, not really that we found out, but definitely we're here to make the comparisons, no? Like again,
Something that surprised you?
Something that surprised me, that not a lot of people have been attacked by wild animals. And everybody is fearful of these wild animals, but in fact we're attacked more by the man who said he's cat. My mother was once attacked by a sheep. I swear she was out in the middle of the field and a sheep attacked her. So we actually have to be more scared of the domestic animals than we do
typical
of the
of
wild
Ireland,
animals.
right?
That's typical Ireland, of course. We have a lot of sheep, so I suppose they can get a little bit nervous and aggressive sometimes, you know. So yeah.
Well, talking about nature,
Yeah.
I really need to mention the fact that I love Irish landscape. You know, those cliffs are just jaw-dropping. I think Ireland has, some of the most amazing landscapes in Europe.
I guess it does.
Do you agree, or you're used to it? No, you don't even notice it. You don't see it that way.
It's like we talked about earlier. Sometimes people ask me this question and I'm like, I don't really see it, you know, until I'm actually back home. And it is true. We do have these wonderful things called the Giant's Causeway. I think anybody who knows about it, it's basically like a folkloric story about this giant that built this huge path from Scotland to Ireland. And we actually believe this as well. That's the funny thing. We believe all these silly stories that they tell us. I would like to also talk about, we're talking about the landscape. Let's talk about a little about here, no? That everything here is very controlled. No, everything, there's like small spaces. When people go camping here, people go into a campsite, everything is like in these little spaces. They've got the little sections for themselves. If you stand on the top of Montseny, you can see Montserrat, you can see the mountains and everything. Now, as you know, I did live in Canada for many, many years.
Yes,
and their
sure.
idea of camping and their idea of open space is very, very different compared to here. A
You
Canadian
can actually get lost in nature in
Of course
Canada,
you can.
right?
Absolutely, and not just get lost, you can actually get attacked as well by wild animals. I'm joking, I'll come back to the animals thing again. But their idea of
but yeah, it can happen, no?
well, I'll tell you a story. Once I went camping, their idea of camping is putting on a backpack, getting into canoeing for God knows how many hours until you're on. Their idea is to get as far away from humanity as possible. But then, what do you find out there? Mosquitoes and mountain lions. I once had an encounter with a mountain lion, and it was quite nerve-wracking. So you don't have to worry about those things here. The worst thing that can happen to you here is what? Have you ever been attacked by a wild animal here?
Not that I can remember, no.
Domestic
Not
animal,
yet.
a doggy, a cat?
No, I've been lucky.
No?
My cat is very peaceful. Because you're Irish, I want to, you know, to talk about Ireland and Catalonia. Let's compare the two countries a little bit in terms of activities that you guys spend in nature. How much time do you spend in nature, and what kind of activities do you like to do when you go out?
You guys have a runner here called Killian Jornet, isn't that correct?
Well,
yeah,
yes.
that guy
very
spends
famous.
hours and hours and hours in the mountains running 150, 200, 300 kilometers, days and days and days. In Ireland, we wouldn't spend that long out in the outdoors. Absolutely not. Our idea is to get out, spend 20 minutes, half an hour until the wind blows us over, and then back inside. So the idea of like the activities that we do, I guess they're a little bit more controlled in the sense of like the weather has a big impact on that as well. We have beautiful landscapes, we have wild beaches, wild windswept moors, as you might call them, but here people spend a lot more time outdoors. The activities, as we mentioned, Killian Jornet, these ultra-marathon runners, the skiing, snowboarding, all of this that you guys have here, I guess you have more contact with the outdoors than we do, in that particular sense.
What about hunting?
Hunting?
Yes. Is hunting a common activity in Ireland?
Have you seen the hunters here?
Well, some of them, sometimes, yes.
We talked a while back, well, actually, we haven't talked about it yet, I believe, but we talk about the cyclists and how they head out on the Saturday afternoons to go and get away from their family. I think it's the same thing with the hunters. They all get together in the morning, they start drinking in the morning before they go hunting. I think that's absolutely outrageous. It's dangerous. How can anybody drink some beers, head out hunting? What do they hunt here? What do you call this? Wild boars. They hunt the wild boars in the mountains. In Ireland, we don't do hunting. No, the only thing we used to have fox hunting, but the only thing we shoot is probably the stray cat. My neighbor shot a cat once. That was about it.
Oh my God!
That was my experience with hunting.
Well, let's talk about something more, more familiar. What about horse riding? I know horse riding is quite popular in Ireland, right?
We breed horses for horse racing. We don't actually ride. We don't have the thing of horse riding. We just do horse racing. Not these like.
Which is very popular, right?
It's very popular. Exactly. Yep.
Well, tell me what impressed you most about Catalan landscape when you first arrived in Catalonia?
Pedraforca.
Pedraforca.
Pedraforca. Yeah, because I had experience of. I'd never had an experience of climbing a mountain like that before. It was like my Everest. You know, even though everybody, it's a bit of an exaggeration. It was my Everest, you know, because at the end you have this part where you have to go up a couple of meters with a rope, and it was a hair-raising experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Marc, thank you for coming today.
No problem.
Thank you for the potatoes.
I hope you enjoy them.
But maybe next time when you go to Ireland, you bring me something more.
I have a joke to finish off for you.
Yes.
What do you call three sheep tied to a post in Ireland?
No idea.
A leisure centre.
Okay. Okay. Well, a nice joke to finish with. Thank you again, Marc. I'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you.
It's time for a few tips from our friends at International House Barcelona. Listen carefully to the list of words that Tim Guinea proposes to us. Here it is.
Today's topic is nature, and it's going to be quite a funny lesson, because I'm not the only person who'll be talking. You'll hear some animals talk. So we'll talk about what sounds do animals make. Now, our first animal is a cat, and a cat meows. But that's not the only sound that cats make. Now, if you touch them and they like it, they purr. But if they don't like it, well, they hiss. So we have our cats. What about man's best friend, the dog? Well, dogs bark. And let's talk about some other types of animals. We have flies and bees. Well, they buzz. Now, it's the same sound that the machine makes outside your building when someone rings to try and get in. That's called the buzzer. So we've got flies. So what kind of animal eats flies? A frog. Well, the sound that a frog makes is a croak. And finally, we've talked about small animals. Let's talk about bigger animals. So, a cow. What sound does the cow make? Well, a cow moves. And that's one of those words that describes the sound perfectly. So, I think you should go and have a look and find out some other animal sounds that describe the words perfectly too. I bet you'll have a lot of fun. I'll see you.
We are lucky to have today with us two foreign actors who live in Catalonia. Although they didn't speak any Catalan at all when they arrived here, now they work in local productions on a regular basis. They are Lascar and Andrew Tarbet. Andrew, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for inviting.
We'll talk to them in a minute, but first, please have a look at this brief glossary of words that will appear during the interview.
The first word to pay attention to is script. It is probably the first step to make a film. The script of a play, film or television program is the written version of it. That takes us to the second word, character. The script develops the different characters appearing on the film. That means each and every single person represented in the story. The third concept you need to know, role. When an actor or actress plays one of those characters, he or she has a role in the film. When they play the protagonist, they play the leading role. And last but not least, cast and crew. It is a very common expression used in cinema, theater and TV. The cast is all the people who act in it. The crew is the group of people, usually with technical skills, who are also working on it. So, cast and crew is the way to refer to every single person involved in making the film possible.
She recently played Gala in Ventura Ponce's latest film, Miss Dali. The movie released at the beginning of April. Rachel Lascar, welcome to the Weekly Mag.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcella.
Well, tell me about the experience of playing Gala in Ventura Ponce's film.
It has been a delighted experience. I mean, for many reasons. First, because playing Gala is something. It's kind of a huge experience for a woman. I mean, considering the story of this woman and the place she has in the heart and the liberty and the courage she had to live through her own rules. And so I did learn a lot working on the character. Mm-hmm. I had to, anyway.
How did you prepare for the character? I mean, Gala is a huge personality, so I guess it wasn't easy, no? To prepare for this role.
I did a lot of research first because I thought it was necessary. I mean, I'm a worker. I do work a lot. So when I take a character, real or no, I do my work. I need to. If I don't do it, I just feel lost. I don't want to take any. I don't want to lose a chance to just connect with the character.
Especially in this case,
and
right?
that was like, yeah, that was an adventure. So I met Ventura. And actually, Ventura called me and he said, it was already confirmed, but he wanted to meet me. And he said, well, come and I'd like to see you.
You had to work together before?
No,
or
never.
It was the first time?
No, it was the first time. And we met and we start to speak in English, in French, in Catalan. We decided we will just carry on like this. And he said to me, he met Gala. So I was like very like, oh, I want to know, you know. He didn't say a word about what experience he shared with her, and I was like, oh, how can I get this information, you know? Because I was looking for a lot of documentaries, a lot of material, but I couldn't find any documentary where she was speaking. And I really wanted to catch the voice, you know, I mean, and I was like, okay, so we start to talk, and he just said to me, I just wanted to see your eyes. And I was like, oh, eyes. And at the very end, I found a documentary where there was 7 seconds of her reading the last paragraph of Dali's book.
That's interesting.
Like, oh, 7 seconds.
It.
That's it? That's enough.
That's all I need. Well, Andrew, your latest project is a short film called Tomorrow, right? It's a bit simpler than that, right? Than Ventura's film, Ventura Ponce's film.
A very simple story, yeah.
Tell us the story.
Tomorrow is a contemporary Western, which is essentially about the high price of doing the right thing and taking responsibility for your actions. And my wife her family has a farm in Empordà.
Your wife, let's mention the fact that your wife is the popular Catalan actress Laia Marull.
She is. And for years I've been going to the farm thinking, God, why don't we shoot something here? Why don't we shoot something here? And years ago I had to prepare a role for Exodus. I was in the film with Ridley Scott. And they called and said, you can ride, right? And of course I said, yeah, sure, I can ride. I ride like the wind.
Was it true?
No. And I called my brother-in-law, who is a wonderful jinete, and I said,
rider?
What's that?
Horse rider?
He's a cowboy. He's a cowboy poet that lives in Empordà.
On Costa Brava.
He gave me a 3-week training before the film that was extraordinary, just military training of riding like 6, 7, 8 hours a day, and taught me how to ride. And I fell madly in love with the world of caballeria, with horses. And 3 years later, for whatever, I've been thinking about, I really wanted to shoot something. I have shot things in the past, and I wanted to make my first professional film, meaning having a cast and crew, professional, and not, you know, what I was doing before was basically sort of homemade short films. And so I wanted to up the ante a bit. And I had this very simple idea about a man who takes a trip with his horse. I can't really explain it because I'll give away the film. It's that simple. Right. But it's a beautiful story about a relationship, a very unique relationship between Andreu and his actual horse, Dennis.
Yes.
And they are the two protagonistas, the two lead characters in the film. And the experience was extraordinary. We just premiered at Medina del Campo, which is an amazing place to premiere your short film. And now we're working on distribution for the future.
You said you wrote the script for this film in an act of frustration. Why was that?
Well, I was so tired of seeing in my 3 countries, seeing politicians that would not take responsibility for their actions. I think what we're seeing with the story of Cifuentes right now is a perfect example of somebody, you know, something that's happened, and it's incredible that this woman hasn't left her job yet, and.
But you didn't know that when you wrote the script, right?
No, there were other stories very similar to it. And so I really wanted to just write a simple story about a man who decides, despite an enormous cost, that doing the right thing has its own value. And that I think we, as members of a society, you know, there's a lot of us stuck in Barcelona, we live very close together, we need to think about our neighbors. If not more, as much as we think about ourselves. And that's where the story came from.
I see. I like this phrase that appears in the trailer, saying that there is no future until you atone for the past. I think it kind of summarizes really well the main idea behind the film, right?
That's it in a nutshell. I mean, we've got one life, and I think if we're not responsible for what we do, then what's the damn point? And yes, there may be at a price, and there's an enormous price for the character in this film. And it may be seen as sort of as a sad film, but I actually don't think it is. I think the act of paying that price is actually a vindicating action, and that's what I hope people get out of the film. And it's just really pretty.
Yes, it is. I've seen it, and I totally agree with you, Andrew. Well, in a few minutes, with our guests today, Rachel and Andrew, we're going to chat about many things, including Ridley Scott, yoga, nature, to name just a few. But before that, we'll take a short break, and we'll leave you with a quote by Margaret Fuller, the American journalist, critic, and women's rights advocate born in 1810. Of course, it's about our today's main topic, nature. See you in a few moments. Well, your English TV show is back. Before the break, we were talking to our guests today, actors Rachel Lascar and Andrew Tarbet. Now we have also been joined by our special cinema and culture collaborator, Tony Garcia. Tony, welcome back to the Weekly Mag.
Thank you very much. How are you guys?
Well, we're great.
All good?
Great company today.
It's better now that I'm here. I know.
Of course. What have you brought for us today?
Okay, so I did a little research on Rachel. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much. So, and I found out you like speleology. Is that correct as well?
Yeah, I love speleology. I mean, I haven't practiced for a long time now, but I did a lot when I was younger.
You wanna?
What is that?
Say something?
I don't know.
Speleology, caves.
Okay, Tony, can you explain?
Going
Of
down.
course.
Strange word.
Of course. Since today's topic is nature, I want to ask you something to see, you know, you don't know speleology.
Spelunking. I thought it was spelunking. But
That's gonna be fun. So I tell you a couple of curiosities.
No, but what is speleology?
Speleology is going deep into caves, basically.
Visit
Now I know.
the caves, yeah.
And you can go very deep, but it's not for me. I mean, I'm afraid of going into the subway. Imagine going into a
It's
cave.
very different. It's a very
I know
different
subway is
experience.
worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't go in subway. I've got panic attack.
Okay.
Okay, so
So, well, the deepest cave on the planet is in Georgia. So, do you know how far below sea level it goes?
3 miles. 3 miles.
3 miles?
No idea.
It's almost there. It's 2 miles, almost 2
Oh,
miles.
well done, Andrew.
Oh, wow.
2 miles is, and it
is
extends
huge.
over almost 13,500 kilometers of galleries. I say kilometers, it's meters. Kilometers would be, you know,
That's pretty big.
a little bit exaggerated. And it's not suitable for claustrophobic people like me. So,
Or me.
you don't go into caves, never?
I don't usually do that, no.
And then another thing is, inside the caves, it could be great rooms, and in fact it is. There is a lot of, you know, huge spaces between, you know, the rock. So could you tell me the biggest one?
I can't really remember about names and but
country,
I have
maybe?
to tell you, but I have to tell that I did climbing before.
Okay.
And it's, I mean, one goes in one side and the other one goes down.
Okay.
And it's a very different experience because actually you feel much more comfortable to go down.
Yes.
And to go down connects you with something very different than what you are used to. Because, I mean, the first step is just to go with the cord, to start to go down and to start to lose the connection with the light. Okay, but when you arrive down, you're with the team, and on that time you didn't have much electric stuff. You had these materials, very organic material. You were burning, so you could only stay as long as you could have light. So you were burning the light, and when there was no more light, you had to organize your time to make sure you could afford to come back and find your way, because once you're down, there is no life. I mean, you could go down, there's absolutely nothing except silence, water, and echo.
You could do a film there in one of these.
It's an amazing experience.
No, that's a good
With
topic
a whole lot
for,
of cable, maybe, yeah.
There's a film about that, The Descent, but it's a terror film. So
it's a wonderful experience. I mean, of course, you've got
Right.
you have to face your fears, and But there is something very specific, like when you go down a hill, let's say a hill, it's like you don't see down. But the fact that you don't see actually make you feel quiet. Because you don't have the perspective of you know, like this sensation of you see down and you have panic. No, you don't, because you don't see. You just see around you.
Yeah,
anyway,
definitely.
let's move on and talk
Yes.
about something else.
Okay.
Something for everybody.
Okay, so film. We are comfortable
Film,
with that?
we all like
Okay,
film.
so Andrew, that's for you. You know who was the first star in film history?
Rudolph Valentino.
No, man.
Oh,
it was a horse.
Oh, okay.
It was a horse because there was this debate between, you know, people, you know, against and favored about if the horse legs at some point were all above the ground,
right.
The four of them. So this guy invented a machine, a device. It's called soprasiscope. I didn't invent it, sorry. You know, that's the word. I'm going to repeat it. Soprasiscope.
Okay.
It sounds Russian,
So
but it's actually
speleology
English.
and soprasisco.
Soprasiscope.
Two new words that you learned today.
Yeah,
Andrew.
I'm learning a lot today. Yeah.
And he invented this device that proves that that actually the horse, you know, kind of floats at some point. And that's the thing. So, you know, I don't know if you, I've been covering film festivals for like 23 years. I've done thousands of actors, and there's something they always tell me. You know, the two worst things about being an actor. One is the time between jobs, you know, when you know, hit a break and the phone doesn't ring. Yep. That's one thing.
Yep.
And the other one is journalists. Interviews, journalists. So I would like to know, you know, the things you consider the worst about being an actor. Sorry, don't say journalist.
The
agree?
first one's worse than the second one, that's for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
Right.
So how you deal with that?
How do I deal with it? It's nasty, it's awful, it's terrible. It really is. And with some years of experience, I won't say how old I am, but I've been doing this for a while, it gets a little bit easier as you go along. Read, write, make yourself active, find a way to be creative, to get some of this creative juice out, because really, if you're not doing what you love, you kind of go crazy. So try not to go crazy.
You have time to go to the weekly mag.
Yes, exactly. Well, go to the movies, go to the theater, see other people, get excited about other people's work.
Nourish your heart.
And then just hope that the damn phone rings really soon.
Speleology, maybe.
Yeah.
Or speleology.
I also do that. I mean, it takes a while to find the balance between when you work and when you don't, and not being stressed about the fact that the phone is not ringing. And I think this is where I would also speak about responsibility and commitment with yourself, with your art, and it's your responsibility to maintain your creative activity. So, and it nourishes yourself as much as going to the theater, going to see films. And I do a lot of. I'm a kind of person who is a bit hyperactive, and I need to do, so I write as well. I do. I direct sometimes. I paint now as well. I love it, and
lots of things, right?
Yeah, and it's like keep moving, keep doing.
And since we're talking about nature as well today, what's your favorite way of connecting with nature, Andrew?
I was really lucky. When I was, I think, 7 or 8, my parents sent me to a camp in Algonquin Park called Camp Pathfinder, and where you went and you basically, it was an island in the middle of a lake, and then you left and did canoe trips. And so I've been canoeing in Algonquin Park since for 30 years. And I try every couple of years to go back. My wife and I, we did a trip 2 years ago, 10 days, where you arrive, you get your equipment, you get a bag full of food, you get everything ready, get in the canoe and disappear for 10 days. See about 20 people in 10 days and disconnect. And about 5 days in, your whole body just goes, whoa. You just leave the whole world behind. And traveling by canoe is a really extraordinary experience, because you're literally there's nothing between you and the water. There's a thin piece of plastic, your own power, and what you can carry on your own back. And the experience is extraordinary.
And also the notion of space. I know it's important to you, right? Something which is, well, it's quite different in Canada.
I'm an American-Canadian, and those are two really big countries. And I'm used to, you know, if you're gonna go buy milk, you gotta get the car and go like an hour and a half to the colmado. And I do find that sometimes when I'm here, I find it difficult to lose myself, to literally not know where I am. I remember once I was with my mother at the top of a mountain, I think it was called Taga, in the Pirineos, and I thought, I don't know where I am, and I looked up and suddenly I saw Cap de Creus, Montseny y Montserrat, all in one view. Damn, you're never very far from something here, which is something I've never gotten used to.
Well, you're both from different countries, but you have in common the fact that you live in Catalonia. No? I don't know about you, Tony, but I'm curious to find out why they came here and why they decided to stay.
Why you're here? Answer now.
It was an accident.
You don't know the answer to that, right?
No.
Well, so you don't know everything.
Okay,
let's hear. Who starts?
Actually, it was an accident. Well, a planned accident, but I was living in Paris for 10 years. I was a bit tired of Paris. And I just finished to produce and play on stage for Bernard-Marie Colt's play. And I really needed a break of Paris. And I had this friend of mine who called me and she said, oh, listen, I'm going to direct this play in Madrid. Why don't you come? Because I would love to have you on this project. And I thought, oh, that's a good opportunity just to disconnect for 3 to 6 months. Why not? Let's do it. So I just canceled a project in Paris, left my flat to a friend, and then say goodbye to my lover of the moment.
Okay,
and
so it's...
And I just went, but on the way to Madrid, I needed holidays, so I just make a break in Barcelona. And I arrive in Barcelona, and after 4 days, I receive a call saying, oh, change, the project is cancelled. And the person said, I must go to Belgium. And I was like, oh, what am I doing? I don't know anybody. And I just decided to take holidays because I was tired and I love the place and I did it. Just enjoy so much the sea. And I've been so well received. I mean, it's the best accident ever.
That's a great story. What about you, Andrew?
I made a film in 2000 in Montreal called Café au lait. And they were looking for a Latin actress. And there are very few Latin actresses in Canada. That may have changed since then. And they did an international casting search and they found Laia. Laia came and did the film. She didn't speak any English. I didn't speak any Spanish. We spoke French together and our French was awful. And we finished the film and she called me up 2 weeks later and said, you know, would you like to see me again? And I said, yeah, I'd like to. And so we did 5 years of going back and forth visiting. I kept working in Canada, but I kept coming here. And in the end, I was here for 8 months of the year or something like that. And then just decided to stay, crazily enough. And even more crazily, Catalonia has been very kind to me in that I have a career that interests me a lot here. I wasn't doing theater before, and I'm doing theater now. I get to work with fantastic people. The people that made this short film with me are just extraordinarily talented. So I could never have expected to have the reception that I got when I got here, and then to actually, I thought I would open a pizzeria or something. But to continue my life as an actor here in Catalonia was a huge surprise.
Which was your first part, like your first important role?
Here?
Yes, here in Catalonia.
I did a film called El Caserón, which I played a Scottish character, and they said, you don't have to do the accent. I said, no, I'm going to do the accent. So I did a Scottish character in Castellano, which was a nightmare. I was terrified.
You're talking about...
Exactly. And then, but I guess the kind of breakout role that I got here was in Fidels. I played a role called Peter on a character in TV3 that I met a lot of people and I got other work from that. So that was really important.
Well, for many years you've been like the if I may say so, the official guiri of Catalonia, right?
The mascot of Catalonia, that's what I've always wanted to be. Hey, I'll take it. I'm thrilled. You know, people made it really easy to start working here. Working in another language is very difficult, and especially with what we do, because your job is to connect, and you connect via language. And so if your language is already disconnected, it's very hard to do what we're supposed to do. So it took some time. But people were very encouraging, and they loved it. And you know, people would come up to you in the market and say, you know, thank you for trying, thank you for working in Catalan. And you know, you think, okay, now I can do it. If you give me permission to screw up, because I'm going to screw up, my Catalan was terrible at the moment, then I can be comfortable in who I am as an actor here, not try and speak perfectly. That's always a mistake, I think.
You mentioned language, and with your permission we are going to have another short break now and watch a few sayings and curious facts related to nature from our collaborator Rosabeth Griffin.
Today we're talking about expressions to do with nature that aren't necessarily talking about natural phenomena. For example, come rain or shine. This is to talk about your determination to do something. For example, come rain or shine, we are going to the beach this weekend, no matter what the weather. Or you might say, let nature take its course. This is talking about letting things evolve on their own without any interference. If you have a situation like this, where you really don't know about the outcome, you might want to say, touch wood. Another way of saying good luck, or I really hope nothing bad happens. We actually have a beautiful word in English to do with good luck, serendipity. Maybe you really like gardening, but you're not actually very good at it, but your garden always seems to look wonderful. This is a result of serendipity. Or maybe you're really good at gardening. We could say you have green fingers. It means you have a specific skill at tending or growing to plants. You could say that you're natural born. This means that you find things very easily, very quickly, maybe playing an instrument or acting. Maybe you've seen the film Natural Born Killers by Oliver Stone. That might not be the best example, but hopefully you understand. We also have a polite way of saying you need to go to the toilet, a call of nature, which actually I'm hearing right now, so if you'll excuse me, I better go.
Well, Andrew, Rachel and Tony, how important is nature to you?
Oh, I like to see it from far. From a
Right.
bar, you know, with a beer. It's like, pretty cool, that mountain.
I love it. It's always been necessary for me to disconnect. I go to Empordà every once in a while. Just, you know, Barcelona is such a dense city. Just to breathe a little deeper. I think it's pretty necessary to disconnect.
Yeah, and recharge the batteries, right?
Yeah.
I do need this as well, as much as possible. Yeah, I just need to connect with trees, and I've got this. I mean, when I was a kid, when I was coming back from school, the first thing I was doing is like to go through the garden, jump on, go over a door, and on the roof of a little cabin, and spend hours there alone and just talking with the cats and whatever insect around. I need this. It's important.
Tony, what about, do you know, because you seem to know everything, let's see if you know this one. Do you know what Andrew and Rachel are preparing at the moment?
No, but I would love to know.
Me too.
If currently working on something or something on your future?
Well, right now it's moving the short film more than anything, but I'm about to start in about a month, start a project that I actually can't talk about, but I'm very excited. I'm very excited about, which is one of these.
Classic too,
one of these great examples. It's a story about an American here in Spain, so I don't usually get that chance to play a role, to play a lead role, and so I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, actually I'm a bit in the same position. So I got this short film as well, probably in very short time, and I'm working on. I'm gonna have
shooting it,
but
right?
I just finished shooting a film last week, and
what's it called?
It's called Boy.
Boy, and
And
director?
the director is Jorge Ventura.
Right.
I've got a lot of Ventura in my life from that time. and it's a very nice indie film.
Very quickly, because I don't think we have too much time left. What is it about? The plot? The main plot?
It's about a young man who got his first job as a driver, and he's going to start his journey with his two very first clients, who are two Asiatic businessmen. At the same time, he's trying to deal with the decision of his girlfriend about personal change in their life, and it's all the process of him experimenting this new job, and all the conflict and the situation he's going through, and it's very, very well written. It's in 35.
Right?
It's in 35 millimeters. It's one of those films.
Yes, exactly.
35 millimeters. You know, it's like we don't do much like this at this time.
Right. Well, it's a pity, Andrew, you can't talk more about your new project. But that means you can come back again to the Weekly Mag when you can give us more details.
I'll be happy to tell you when I can.
Well, Rachel, Andrew, thank you so much for coming today. It's been a pleasure. Good luck with all your projects.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Anthony, thank you for coming today.
Absolute pleasure.
Very
My pleasure.
interesting, as usual. And see you soon, next
Yes,
week maybe.
see you soon. Thank you.
She has a charming way of singing. Her lyrics are interesting and she lives in big. What more can you ask of a singer? In a few minutes, Joana Serrat will be with us.
The protagonist of our portrait is Rafael De Haan from the wine export company De Haan Altes. Rafael studied at the University of Cambridge and worked for a wine export company in the UK. During a wine fair in London, he fell in love with both the Terra Alta wines and the wine professional Nuri Altes from Batea. He travels all over the world, but always returns to Gandesa, where he lives with his family. This is his portrait. Check it out.
I'm Rafa De Haan. I'm a winemaker. I began working for our family company in London, which had just started importing wines from Chile and Argentina, and was recruited to go off and research and perhaps discover new wines. I discovered a wine from Terra Alta, and then I came here and met Nuria, discovered Terra Alta, and the rest is history, as they say. Beyond Catalonia, most people would never be able to place Terra Alta on the map. It's one of those undiscovered gems, if you like. In the UK, where I'm from, in England, no one's ever heard of Terra Alta. Unless you're a wine professional and happen to be studying for your diploma, most people would never have heard of Terra Alta. And beyond that, of course, into China, Japan, even in the US, most people would never know where Terra Alta is. So we have a lot of work to do still to raise the awareness of Terra Alta around the world. Nuria and myself believe in organic viticulture, organic products. At home, we tend to try and only eat organic foods. I think the more natural your lifestyle is, the more natural the elements you put into your body, the better. So we don't want to encourage or allow any artificial substances into our food chain, if you like. So the product is better, it sells better, and it complies with our own personal philosophies of life. And the ambition is for, by the year 2021, our full range to be certified organic. So it's about a year old, this winery, and it's a big facility of 4,500 square meters, distributed over 3 floors, and it's within one of our big vineyards. Some might say it's a bit of a folly. By that I mean it's a very risky venture, investing so much in a place like Serrat. But we are absolutely convinced by the future prospects of the project.
We've interviewed two actors before, and now we are going to talk with two folk singers. They are not an artistic couple, but they know each other very well. In fact, they have even sung together on several occasions. We are talking to Joana Serrat and Matthew McDaid. Joana, Matthew, welcome to the Weekly Mag.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Well, I would like to know first, how come that you started to work together? Tell me about your collaboration.
You want to start?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, Matthew and I met when I played in Menorca, because he used to play there as well. And well, that was the first time meeting each other. But then I think it was the first time you sang with Roger.
Yeah, with a mutual friend we have in common that works with Joana and David in their label. I went and I collaborated on one of his presentation of a CD. And then I went directly after them looking to sign with the label as well.
And we were very impressed, you know, by his voice, and we knew about him a little bit. We had watched some YouTube videos, and we thought that he was astonishing, and that's how that's how it started everything.
Well, Matthew, you're from Belfast, but you've been living in Catalonia, more specifically in Rupit. For a long time now.
13 years.
Wow, 13 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
And Joana, you're from Vic, but you sing in English, and you also write your songs in English. Can I ask why? I'm quite curious to find out about this thing about English. Is not very common for a young Catalan singer-songwriter.
Well, I think it's just natural, because I've always been listening to country or folk or pop music, and most of this music was sung in English, and it's in English. And so all my influences are basically from the United States, Canada, and also the UK. And to me, when I think about writing a song and when I think about lyrics, just the sound that it's natural. And if I think about country or Americana, you know, music, it's to me it's a sound it fits best, and that's why, you know, it's not even a decision. It's pretty natural to me.
It comes to you naturally.
Yeah.
Well, Dripping Springs is the title of your latest album, which you recorded in Texas.
Yes.
Tell me the story.
Well, it was a cool trip, and I'm really happy, you know, just to be there, and very lucky to be able to work with Israel Maj and all of his crew. I am a huge fan of Israel. I have all of his records, and for this album I just wanted a new sound. I needed to be more rock instead of ethereal and atmospheric as the previous one, Cross the Verge. So I just decided to call him at his studio, and I just said, well, I introduced myself. He knew me a bit because we were on the same label in the UK, in Europe, and that's how, you know, we just started talking, and he was, hey, you just come here, come to my place, and let's make a record. And it was very easy, and I really appreciate that Israel was so generous to open all of his family and all of his place, because I felt that I always belonged there, and the relationship and the communication, and I think it's something that you can feel in the album, you know. To me, it was a very special time making this album.
Right. How would you describe the experience you had in Dripping Springs, which is a rather unusual name as well, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's because they have a lot of springs there, and in Texas everything is it's more kind of a desert place, but in this area close to Austin there's green, which is not so usual, and also it's the hill country they call it. And it's a typical place where people go to spend the weekends or do weddings and all of this stuff. Also because they have all this beautiful nature, and yeah, it was so beautiful, my experience there, that I had to name the album after, you know, after this town and after this
this beautiful experience, and I thought that was the best way,
It's a good name. It's a good name. Off the Beaten Track is the title of Matthew's latest album. In this case, Matthew, tell me the story behind the album, and where did you find your inspiration for it?
Well, the story behind the name of the album was, it's just, I suppose, a necessity to do my own thing in a way. You know, to go off the beaten track means, you know, to get away from the main road and to try, you know, through forests or through some dirt road. And in that sense, that's what I wanted to do with music as well, just to try something different, something that, you know, something that I needed to do, go off the beaten track and not follow the road. Inspiration-wise, just life stories and stories that have, it's a story album, story record. So all the songs have a story behind them, and they tell different things. Yeah.
You both share the love for folk music, right? Tell me, Matthew, what do you like most about Joana's style?
About Joana's style, it's like the breeze on your neck.
That's a very nice way to describe it.
I think she's incredible, especially live. It's something I've grown to like enjoy very, very much. Yeah, just the way that she can capture with the voice and the sweet guitar behind.
Right.
She can really capture someone, and that's very, very powerful.
Joana, the same question, but for Matthew. What is it that you like most about Matthew's music?
To me, he's a very young guy, and I just love the lyrics, what the story is. I think he's probably a storyteller, and that's something very common. You know, someone that really knows how to create and how to link, you know, all these verses finally to create these beautiful stories. And his lyrics are very profound, and that's shocking, but in a good way for someone who's really, really young. And I told you,
I'm 12 years old.
Exactly. Yeah, and also I think his voice is amazing. He's great on stage. He really captures the attention of the audience, and you need to be good at this. You know, it's something you can learn, but definitely it has to be part of you. And I think he writes great songs, basically.
You just came back from your UK tour. Tell me, what was this experience like?
It was funny.
It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. No.
It was cool.
Well, for you, it was a little bit like going back home?
A little bit, yeah. England is a different world. Yeah.
Closer to your home, no?
It's definitely closer. It's very British, obviously. Yeah, it was great fun, just traveling, getting on the roads with Joana. It was great fun.
Yeah, I'm making memories and also, you know, be able just to be on stage, the two of us, because we shared, when he was playing, I jump on stage and sing a couple of songs together, and then the other way too. And yeah, I think it was nice. I don't know, I like it. I will do that again soon.
Yeah.
Matthew, do you miss Belfast? Repeat is quite different.
I miss
Colsa Cabra,
yeah, it's very
Zona.
I miss,
where is your home?
I miss
Catalonia?
certain things. Yeah, I think my home definitely now is in Catalonia. Yeah, just the area. Colsa Cabra is a very, very beautiful area, and it's definitely got. I've got some roots there that are hard. You can't just pull them out. You know, it's proper roots. But there's certain things that I miss about Ireland. Some of the people, the humour, the music, just laid backness of Ireland. I love that.
Do you go back there often?
I don't. No.
Not really, right?
No, I don't go back often. But when I do, I enjoy it very much. I suppose I like to try and get the best of both worlds and then mix them together. But yeah.
Sounds good. Well, I know you're going to sing a song today for us. What song is it?
It's a Townes Van Zandt song, the late great singer-songwriter Townes Van Zandt. Song he wrote called "If I Needed You."
If I Needed You.
This is one of the songs that we used to play together when we were on tour, and it's kind of a classic now because we've been singing this song, I don't know, since last year.
Yeah.
More or less.
Well, we are looking forward to hearing it. Matthew and Joana, thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks for having us.
And good luck with your concerts.
Thank you very much.
In a few moments, we'll be listening to Joana and Matthew. But before that, just a few more tips from our friends at International House Barcelona.
Hi, we're talking about nature today, so we'll take this opportunity to learn some new phrasal verbs. When we extract resources such as minerals from the ground, for example by mining them, we dig them up. We can use this also for archaeological remains. These remains were dug up by the archaeological team. Something else that's extracted from the earth is oil for fuel-powered engines. But what happens when oil extraction gets so intense that we've depleted this resource from the whole planet? We can say Earth has run out of oil, which means we no longer have any left. This will force us to cut down on the use of machinery that requires oil, and eventually we'll have to get rid of all that machinery, or in other words, we'll have to throw it away. This might sound a little apocalyptic, but I think it's time that we bring about some change in our lifestyle that guarantee the survival of our species. Scientists have been warning us for a long time that the rise in temperatures of the sea are causing tremendous consequences to the environment and the ecosystem, which means we have to do something now to cool them off. I don't know how, but we're going to have to look past our cultural differences and our economic interests and put them aside so that we can work together for the common good. Remember the words of the great thinker, Marshall McLuhan. There are no passengers on spaceship Earth, only crew, which means we have to cooperate to make it work. Goodbye.
If I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me and ease my pain? If you needed me, I would come to you. I would swim the seas for to ease your pain. When the night's forlorn, well, the morning's born, and the morning shines with the lights of love. And you will miss sunrise if you close your eyes, and that would break my heart in two. If I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me and ease my pain? If you needed me, I would come to you. I would swim the seas for to ease your pain. The lady's with me now, since I showed her how to lay her lily hands in mine. Loop and Lil agree, she's a sight to see, a treasure for a poor man to find. If I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me and ease my pain? If you needed me, I would come to you. I would swim the seas for to ease your pain. If I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me and ease my pain? If you needed me, I would come to
nature is not always pleasant. You will be able to see it on our Face Off, coming soon on the Weekly Mag.
If someone wrote a story about cycling in Girona, they would certainly have to be in it. Saskia from Holland and Dave from the UK met in Girona about 15 years ago. They fell in love, married and started Bike Breaks, a cycle centre which organises trips and hires bikes, among many more things. They say they've seen Girona grow from the days when it was just a few locals, a few tourists and Lance Armstrong riding through the streets, to the pro cycling hub it is today. We are visiting with Saskia Girona's gorgeous valley of San Daniel.
This is the San Daniel Valley in Girona. My name is Saskia and I'm from Bike Breaks in Girona. I've been in Catalonia since 1996. I came to do a 5-month practicum for my studies. I studied tourism and marketing and fell in love with the place straight away and just never went back. San Daniel Valley, it's a very popular place to be, but there's not many places to live. So it's many people want to live here, but to be able to find a place here, it's unique. It's like finding a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. And we've been lucky enough to find a place, so we own our own place with a view of the cathedral, with a view of the valley. We can see the mountains. If we leave our house on one side, we go to the cathedral, on the other side we go to mountain bike trails. So it's a really, really fantastic place. And very well connected, 10 minutes to walk into work, so no commute with a car or even with a bike, we just walk, and it's really a really city-friendly place. Bike Breaks is a bike travel agency. We organize bike holidays, we do bike hire, bike rental, repairs, anything to do with cycling. I run it together with my husband Dave, who is from England, I am from Holland. And we always say we are adopted in Girona because we feel really at home here. Girona is a fantastic place to ride bike, and we would like other people from around the world to experience that like we love it so much. When I came here, I did ride bike because I'm from Holland, but I didn't ride bike professionally or for fun. For me, it was more transport. Dave, my husband, he's a mountain biker, and he pulled me into the sport straight away. He took me out to climb a mountain, and I fell in love with the feeling of being on the bike. It feels like you're flying, it feels like you're out in nature. Girona is very popular for that because within 5 minutes from the city centre, you can be either out in the mountains, you can be on quiet roads, the roads are well maintained, there's not much traffic, and the traffic that is there really respects the bike, so that makes it a really, really good place to cycle. And I think that people always end up being surprised. When they get here, they are pleasantly surprised, and 80% of our clients come back, bring their family, bring their friends, and they want to show other people how beautiful it is here. People in Girona can have a tendency of being tancat, being very closed. Sometimes it's difficult to come through those barriers, but once you are through, once you enter the Catalan friendship and the Catalan families, it's a very welcoming place. And what we really like from here is the sense of community, the sense of family. So on a Sunday, lots of people ride their bikes, but then always everyone will go to the grandma's house to have lunch or meet up with friends to have lunch. And this family feel is something that you wouldn't find in other countries, and here we really like it.
Today on our Face Off section, we have again Patricia Escalona, who is a freelance publisher from Barcelona. Patricia, welcome to the show. Actually, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And we also have Matthew Tree, who is a regular. He comes every week to face off about a specific topic. Matthew, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, I'm always here. Yeah.
You're from London, Matthew, so which is obviously a very big city. You live in Barcelona, right? So I imagine you prefer big cities.
No, not at all. The last few years I've changed completely. And now I spend about 3.5 days in the country, but if I could, tomorrow I would move to the country.
Right.
I just want to get out of the city now completely for a whole series of reasons, which I will explain to Patricia if I get a chance, you know.
Okay, what about you, Patricia?
I would never get out of a city, never. I lived in Barcelona for all my life, well, and I've lived in other cities, bigger, smaller, and I find everything I need and everything I want in a city, so the country, away.
But there are advantages and disadvantages, no? In your case, you find more advantages living in Barcelona than disadvantages. What advantages can you mention?
Exactly.
Be careful, you. Particularly in a city like Barcelona, which is a perfect size, I find that you can find a very good balance between going out and finding every kind of entertainment option available to you, and you can do anything that you can dream of. You can do that also in big cities, but it becomes a bit harder to move around, and you tend to stay in your neighborhood. But I think it's great to have all those options, even if you decide at the end of the day to just stay home and read a book, but you know it's out there. So that's it. Fun.
Okay,
what do you think
I take
about
the point
that?
about the sort of what they talk about, the cultural offer that you get in cities that you don't get in the country. Nowadays, it's not so true, because nowadays, what with the internet, with DVDs, etc., you can actually get a whole lot of material that previously was not available in a remoter place than you had to go to the big city. But there's also another factor as regards entertainment and theatre and all the rest of it. I found that living in cities, both in London and in Barcelona, it's a bit like living next to the Sagrada Familia. You know it's there, it's always there, it's not going to go away, so you never actually visit it. And it happens to me in Barcelona. I find that when I'm outside Barcelona and I really want to see something, then I make a special effort to see that thing. But when I'm in Barcelona, it's like, oh, I can do this anytime, so I don't do it.
We are here in our Face Off section, and our topic is it better to live in the city or in the countryside? Matthew obviously prefers the countryside, and Patricia loves living in Barcelona. Let's see more advantages, more things you love about living in the city.
I think what you said is right. I mean, you get a lot of entertainment options nowadays with the internet and the DVDs at home, but that all happens at home. I mean, in a city, you can just pick and choose which one of your friends you can call, and in half an hour, you can meet them for just something, a lip plan that you hadn't thought of before. In the country, you have to make plans or drive to someone's place. You cannot just be in a bar and meet people. We talk about the country, not a little village, which is what you're dealing with now, right?
Yeah,
you're gonna get
for
back
me,
and be, yeah,
for me,
right.
a small town, like say 10,000, 15,000 people, that is the country.
That's not the country.
But also, I know people who live in more isolated areas around. Okay, Banyoles is the place. Okay, which is where
I was going
live.
actually to ask you about this charming place.
Yeah, it is.
You go away the weekends.
And longer, in fact. I start on Thursday and I go back on Sunday usually.
Oh, okay.
But I found there you can meet up with people in about 5 minutes, because either they're around the corner, or I don't drive, but they can, or they drive in to Banyoles all the time. But for me, the main advantage, the one I've spotted, is that maybe this is a male thing as well, but after about the age of 40, it's very important to do some kind of exercise. And in the city, basically you have to go to a gymnasium, a fitness center, something like that, or even worse, a CrossFit center. And I hate those places, I cannot stand them. So the only exercise I do is walking. And walking in Barcelona, if I may say so, I've done huge long walks in Barcelona, and in the end, it's not very healthy. Whereas in the country, I walk around the Lake of Banyoles, which is about 7 kilometers, and I just feel fantastic. I feel healthy. I feel actually that I'm going to live longer even than I would normally live. And that kind of exercise, if you can do that every day in the country, and in the city, it's a little harder to get that done.
Well, anyway, I think Matthew lives in a privileged place. No? Banyoles is an amazing village, or little town, we should say.
Little town, yeah, it's a small town.
Villa.
Very small
in
town.
Catalan. Villa,
yeah.
no?
Yeah, Villa, yeah, which would be a small town. Yeah.
That's one of my points, actually. You can meet with 5 people if you live in a small villa in a small town. But it's the same in 5 minutes. Sorry, it's the same 5 recurrent people that you meet all the time, and we need to meet with different people all the time. And you can have many kinds of friends, and be in Barcelona, the city that it is, you also have friends coming over, you know, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to be able to show them around as well. As for exercise, what about the coast? What about the beach? You can go there and exercise, and to the park, and you can do that as
Barcelona.
well. In Barcelona.
In Barcelona,
of course.
You can, but I don't like beaches. I just don't like beaches. But
Say you lived in New York, for example, you could walk around the lake in Central Park, right?
Yeah. Yeah, okay, maybe. Yeah, if it's safe. Yeah, if it's sort of during daylight hours.
What about the fact that everybody knows each other in small places? Do you like that, Matthew?
Well, actually, I find much the same in the neighborhood where I live in Barcelona. You live in a Barcelona neighborhood, or a London neighborhood for that matter, for longer than 10 years, and it's exactly like living in a village in that sense, in the sense that you're always seeing people you know and all the rest of it. I don't notice, in fact, the difference between living in the neighborhood of Fort Pieng in Barcelona or living in Banyoles, because more or less there's the same kind of social interaction. But I did want to say one of the great advantages I discovered, because I come from, I'm a city, you know, I come from a city, I was born in a city, always lived in a city. One of the first things I discovered when I started living in the country was the food. The food is so much better because it's local, you know where it comes from, it's cheaper, better quality. The vegetables even often come from people's local gardens. And the taste of everything is just much better. It's been a whole discovery. In Barcelona, you can get all that, but you have to pay for it, and it's more expensive, and you have to know the places. Whereas in Banyoles, for example, or any other small town, you know, the food is always so good and plentiful and cheap.
That's actually a good point.
That's actually my last card that I'm playing there.
Well, I can trump that easily.
Okay, let's see.
There's the variety of food. You can find plenty of different restaurants from all over the world and all kinds of cuisine that you can find in Barcelona. And also, I don't know what kind of restaurants you go to here. I mean, you can find quality and not that expensive. You just have to look for it and have the right friends. Again, we come back to friends. So.
Okay. Well, in Banyoles, we have a sushi restaurant. We have 2 Chinese restaurants. Except we have 1 Majorcan restaurant, which is quite hard to find in Barcelona, even.
I can tell you 2 in Barcelona, like right now. So.
See?
I can tell you 2.
Oh, 2? Okay. Well, afterwards, tell me, and I really like Majorcan food as well. In fact, I noticed actually, Marcella, in the studio, it's almost as if you yourself were sort of hankering after the countryside, because I noticed that, I mean, you've got greenery all around.
Yeah, we have green fingers here.
Which is another factor, because I find that and it sounds ridiculous, but apparently it's not. They've done research on this, that if you're surrounded by natural colors, greenery and so forth, it's much more, psychologically, it's a lot more relaxing, which would explain why when I go in on the bus, the Banyoles, I can feel my blood pressure going down, literally. I feel calmer because of the vegetation almost, the surrounding area.
We're also surrounded by bricks, aren't we?
By bricks?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm just looking at the plants, Patricia, you know.
Yeah, right.
What about the fact that in big cities, you can, you can be unnoticed actually, if you want to, of course, while in a small village, everybody, like we said before, everybody knows each other, and everything you do, they will know it. No, it's like quite difficult to have, if you want, this personal space.
they don't know everything I do. That's for sure. No, it's the way I know what you mean, but as I said before, like if in a small neighborhood in Barcelona, that's also a little bit true. And in Barcelona, of course, you usually live in flats. In flats, it's quite promiscuous in the non-sexual sense, in the sense that you're living close to people, so you sort of know what people are doing and so forth. What I find is that there are ways to avoid that. When you go for a walk, for example, on your own, you choose a route where there are not many people on it, for example. And that's very easy to do. And you're on your own, you can walk for hours, you don't run into people. I just love it. I'm sorry, I really am an enthusiast.
Yeah,
you know.
but that doesn't make up for the fact that living in the country is kind of boring. So in the cities, you can choose what level of privacy you want. So whether you want to make it your own little town, your neighborhood or not, is up to you completely. You can be aloof as much as you want. You can just like stay, care about your own business and not say hello to even your neighbors. And that's it. Nobody will be surprised by that. But also you can be on the other hand, you can also be very familiar and very social with your neighbors if you want.
I totally agree with you, Patricia. Again, I said before, I'm a city person. So Matthew, today again, I'm on Patricia's side. Don't take it personally. It's nothing personal.
You
right?
sure? Okay, fine.
But let's see if next time we agree more.
Okay, let's see.
Thank you for coming.
You're very welcome.
And thank you for coming, Patricia, as well.
Thank you, Marcella.
Well, this show is coming to an end. Thank you all for joining the Weekly Mag for one more week. Remember to follow us on social networks on @TheWeeklyMagTV. Our final quote is by one of the greatest American stand-up comedians, George Carlin, without a doubt, one of the freest and most controversial voices on the American art scene between the 70s and 90s. See you next week, and meanwhile, keep your English up and running.
If you needed me, I would come to you. I would swim the seas for to ease your pain. If I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me?